Welcome back to Shem's Universe. So today, guys, I just want to go over the dark side of every astrological sign, just so you guys are aware of how that works, and also how you can use these things to your advantage. Like the video I did yesterday on numerology, my intention was to make sure you guys are aware of your number, the good of it. We already know that. We discuss it every single day. But then I also want to go over the dark side and how your shadow essentially can really bring success to you. Like the whole point to it is that you sort of need to balance the light and the dark in order to actually find success, moderation, balance. So it's not about really becoming a dark person, but you have to use certain dark traits to sometimes get ahead in life. And that doesn't even mean for non-benevolent reasons. Like you can do it with a very pure heart and still get things done in a way in which it just justifies your purpose. I don't mean that in a Machiavellian way where the ends justify the means, but you have to sometimes understand that to win in this realm, you have to understand your dark side and utilize it like a tool. So today I'm going to go over the 12 zodiac signs and then give you guys the light of it, which you guys kind of already know, and then the dark I'm going to go into a little bit more in depth today. So to start off, we have Aries. Aries is known as the pioneering spirit, the cardinal sign, very aggressive, represented by Mars, fire sign. People know Aries is always the dynamic leader, the person that likes to start things, the initiator, the group motivator, definitely. But people with Aries, if you have a sun sign, I'd say, or a rising sign, this really applies to you a lot. You want to listen carefully. You have this peculiar ability to influence other people just through your general grit, meaning your work ethic, your sheer willpower. It lets off an auric field that allows people to feel safe around you, that they know that you're competent in a sense, where your will actually override even the skill set that you need to finish a project. So Aries sometimes, when they delve into their darker side, can be overly obsessive over their success. And that's a good and a bad thing. When you have an obsession with success, you don't have any problems with discipline. So the thing with this is that they'll say Aries individuals that have like an over obsession with success, they'll be a little bit too almost like zealots, like they're just too much on that specific thing that they want to get done, and that's it, and they don't care about anything else. They'll be very tunnel vision, very narrow-minded, and very ruthless as a result of their overall obsession with success, of hitting a certain status quo. It's very similar with the life path 1. But the problem, or I should say, it's not really a problem, but you have to understand that in order to become an unrecognizable legend and icon in any sort of field, you sort of have to have that dark trait of being very obsessive, where it's like your life is your subject matter. It's like the Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant phenomenons, like these type of mentalities. You have to sort of have that in order to actually find success in anything that you're doing. So Aries individuals that do get ahead, they delve into that dark side of obsession, of really being obsessed with success and the status of success and the vision of it, and they can just see themselves doing it. And when they have that peculiar vision, it can actually possess them like a demon and take them over, and they in turn just become their purpose. The thing is that actually brings forth a great deal of success, but if you are too ruthless with it, of course, it can bring on karmic debts that I've discussed even in my prior video when we talked about numerology. With astrology, from this standpoint as an astrologist, you can still definitely get a lot of bad karma in your lifetime. So you want to be very, very careful with how you use that fire cardinal energy. Make sure that you're using it to, of course, enlighten other people, to motivate other people to reach your goals in a morally subjective way. But don't go overboard and then start cutting throats as well, right? You have to just be very careful with how you balance that. But nonetheless, you do need to delve into obsession as an Aries to achieve success. The next one is Taurus. Taurus is, of course, the god over the second house, which is the money house. So my Taurus guys, you guys know you're pretty wealthy. You guys are pretty grounded individuals. Taurus individuals are known to be quite stubborn, quite resolute. It's a fixed sign, earth sign, represented by Venus. Very beautiful sign when it comes to looking at things like their aesthetics, real estate, their conveyances. They like to make things look very nice, right? The dark side with Taurus is that they could be overly materialistic, and there's good and bad with that. The good with it is that being overly materialistic will make you work very hard to get like the nicest clothes, nice car, nice house, to have the sort of American dream, if you will. If you, no matter what side of the world, I'm in Canada, I'll still say American dream, right? That's what we all picture: the white picket fence, couple kids, dog, and then you have $1 million in your bank account as well, so you're good. Yeah, so with Taurus, there could be an over obsession with money, or with just it's not even obsession with money specific, but materialism. Like Taurus people like really, really like material goods to the point in which where if they don't have it, they'll become depressed or they just won't want to live anymore whatsoever. They can even get suicidal. The dark side, of course, is that you can just become a person that you don't use your materialism to be goal oriented the way the Aries would. You'll just use it and say, I don't have, so whatever. When you're materially driven, don't think that's a bad thing. People will try to put that into a shadow for you and make you feel like that's wrong, that you have these materialistic dreams. You shouldn't allow that to happen. What you need to allow to happen is that you need to say, I have these material dreams, write everything out, make affirmations, and actually drive yourself towards that by using your mindset, the concept of achieving material assets to your advantage. What a lot of people do is they try to like drown out, life path 8s do this a lot. We try to drown out the materialistic side of ourselves because we're told by parents, maybe we have religious people around us, maybe we just have people that aren't good with money, and they'll say, you shouldn't be driven by money and status and all this stuff, or materially driven, like to drive a Porsche or whatever. But you have to have that sort of mindset to achieve a certain degree of success. So you sort of need it in that regard. Like that's what's actually your driving force, and that's what brings the fixed into your sign, is when you're materially driven, you turn resolute and your spirit becomes uncompromising towards what you want. So of course that brings undeniable and inevitable success. The next one is Gemini. Gemini is an important one for sure. This one, all signs are important, but Gemini is an interesting one because everybody views Gemini as the villain most of the time anyways. So the light with Gemini I'll go over is the communication skills they have is impeccable. Knowledge, their ability to use mind and hands, their brain and hands, they have very good coordination. They can be ambidextrous, all these things. The dark side with Gemini, it's represented by Mercury, is their communication become extremely manipulative. And this can be very good if you're into politics or you're into sales. As a Gemini person, your dark traits do very well in those two areas. So if you're into politics, you have to sort of be a little bit funny with your words to sort of get to the positions you want to get in, whether you're warming up somebody above you or telling the public what they need to hear. Sales, same sort of thing. Once you're natural, smooth with it, you make a lot of money based off commissions and you become a rich guy, a rich gal very quickly, right? So as a Gemini, don't really try to let go of your manipulative abilities. You actually want to more so bring that manipulative ability in and allow it to be the force that you use. Your guys are like the fox, right? There's the fox and the lion in the book of Machiavelli, The Prince. He discusses the lion being like the force, the brute nature, and the fox is the cunning. Gemini is definitely the fox. It's that cunning. If you're able to use that cunning in a very shrewd business-like setting where it's like you're getting ahead in business, you're doing things that will actually benefit you, but you're not really necessarily hurting other people or putting other people on the streets, you'll be just fine. But it's when you use that ability, and what happens with most Geminis is that they have that dark ability, but they're not successful materially. They end up just using it to gossip about people, talk a bunch of garbage about people, stab them in the back. It's really this backstabbing sort of thing, right? But if you can use your communication skills and your charisma and that charm to sort of glaze over your enemies in business, to sort of market yourself in the proper way, then you'll find that you become very, very successful. So manipulation, even though it's a very dark trait that Gemini has, is extremely useful in the right career setting. Next one is Cancer. Cancer, a lot of people look at Cancer like, oh, this emotional water sign. They're psychic, clairvoyant. These are people that are very good financially, typically, especially the first decan Cancers. You guys are amazing. But you guys have a very, very, very interesting ability to be emotionally manipulative. Very similar to Gemini, it's intellectually manipulative, I'd say. They use their brain, they get what they want. Cancers, especially Cancer women, can be very emotionally manipulative in a sense of like they take advantage of their partner by just fake crying, knowing what their partner wants to feel. If they know somebody's insecure, they'll make them feel confident. If they know somebody's naturally depressed, they know how to uplift them. If somebody's too cocky, they know how to bring them down by seeing the insecurities or the inconsistencies in their personality. Cancers are great at gauging people's personality and reading people and then figuring out how to sort of manipulate them to get what they want. So you guys are the emotional manipulators. The dark side of that, of course, is what I pretty much listed off, is that you guys can sort of rip people a new one in a sense, right? You guys can take advantage of people, and it can be used in very, very evil ways, especially for a man or a woman. A man could do it for sexual gratification, money, hedonism, like all of these things. And a woman can do it for the same sort of thing, right? What you want to do is you want to use it for a career in which you have to use emotional intelligence to get ahead. The dark side of Cancer is that emotional intelligence is what actually drives you. It's borderline psychic. So if you can figure out a way to do that, very similar to Gemini, like get into things like sales, marketing, advertising, things like that, where it's like you're getting in the mind of your customer, you then can manipulate them and make a bunch of money. You can also be like a social media influencer, same sort of thing. Understand what makes you tick, understand what makes people want to watch you, and then you just hook them in with that every single time. Cancers, I don't have to tell you how to do that. Go more into the dark recesses of your mind and figure out how you can use that dark side of yourself for your own betterment that doesn't bring you down karmically. So have some balance there, guys. Next one is Leo. Leo, people know as good and bad for sure. I've heard such good and bad reviews about Leos. I love all my Leos for sure. I've never met a Leo I didn't like. Leo people are amazing. It's the king or the queen of the Zodiac. Very successful sign, very performance-based, but quite narcissistic. And I think I've brought this up already before, just with my Leo people I've done consults with. You guys can be very, very narcissistic, and the narcissism is very good in a healthy way when it's called achievement-based narcissism, meaning that your narcissism is granted to you the more you achieve, because that makes you get more and more done in life. You have a checklist every single day, you get that dopamine in your mind, and you get this positive feedback loop that allows you to have great days, great weeks, great months, that lead to great years, to lead to great decades, lead to great lifetimes. So you guys can actually perpetuate your narcissism and just say, I want more, 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 more. But that can lead to greed, and that can also lead to having an external need of validation that can make you very, very weak. The dark side of Leo is the narcissism for sure. You can use it in a healthy way, the way I just listed. But if you don't use it in that achievement-based way, or if you make achievements too much of a forefront where it's like you need to be successful, or you feel like you're just a piece of garbage, a piece of trash, then of course you're weak to that want of yours. And the law of opposites is going to make sure it keeps like pulling it away from you more and more. It's going to get farther the more you try to reach for it. So you want to be very, very careful with it. You want to make sure that you're achievement-based and you're a goal-oriented person, and you can even visualize yourself showing off on people, whether it be your enemies, your family, your friends, showing off and whatever, being that performance-based person. That's great. But you can't allow it to bring you down to such a level where in which like nothing else matters, like where in which you just become this person that if you don't have that external validation, people aren't applauding you, or you don't have a certain figure in your bank account, you actually feel like less of a person. You need to make sure that that narcissism that you have it could be dark as you want, but make sure that you have I would almost recommend having more of a God complex, saying, I'm me, so I'm the best, and I'm going to prove to everybody else I'm the best. But you want to make sure you're careful with it. Like you don't want to be delusional and just be a grandiose narcissist where you're just saying, I'm the best and I don't need to achieve anything, I'll be a bum. You still want to be achievement-based, but not so achievement-based where it entangles you and you need it in order to actually feel a sense of fulfillment. So it's a very, very slippery slope, guys. The dark sides of ourselves are very hard to control, but if you can, it's your key to all of your wealth and happiness. The next one is Virgo. Virgo is an interesting one because Virgo is very detail-oriented, represented by Mercury, again, very similar to Gemini, but they're more obsessed with like minuscule details. They're the nitpickers, right? So the weakness, or not, I shouldn't say the weakness of Virgo. I would say more so the dark side. Both my parents are Virgos, so I definitely know about Virgo very well. They can definitely be perfectionists, right? So real authentic Virgos, like people that are born deep into Virgo season, are going to be perfectionists, like the way they reverse their car, the way they drive, the way they put their clothes on, their swagger. Everything about them has to be perfectly aligned for them to actually feel like they're in tune with their energy. So as a Virgo, being a perfectionist, if you apply that to your career, let's say you're a mechanic and you want to be the best mechanic ever and everything you do is competent, that's great. You're an engineer, you're a chess player, you're a professional athlete, you're a stockbroker, you're a day trader, whatever. If you're so obsessed with perfectionism that brings you to immediate and absolute competence, that's great. You need that. But the problem with Virgos is that dark side will, of course, illuminate to other things in your life when it comes to family and friends and your romantic partner, things of this nature. And you start pushing that perfectionism on them. You become self-righteous and too deliberate with it. And then, of course, it offends people. So that's the thing is like when we look at even these star athletes like a John Jones or trying to think of other guys, like even a Floyd Mayweather, getting in like domestic disputes, but they're like the best fighters, they're the goats of their time. The problem is that you you can have an obsession and have that perfectionist sort of mentality, but when you let it go outside of your career, outside of your business, is when it's going to destroy you. The problem and what makes it hard is that usually that thing that you have to use to become the best is like hard to turn off, on and off, when you're not doing your job, right? You end up becoming it. That's why I say our dark side is like a demon that takes us over. And when we actually really delve into it, I caution you guys to be so careful with it, is because it could take you over and you become a different person, but you'll be very successful, but you might not have the best social life, and karmically you might get knocked off your horse sooner than you think. All right, next one is Libra. Libra is the king or queen of balance. It's the Saturn's exalted there, represented by Venus, cardinal, air energy. Very smart individuals. Libras are always considered the crazy Libras. They can be quite eccentric, quite exciting individuals. I've had a few ex that are Libras, love them all. Libra individuals are great. What I would say about Libra in regards to a dark side is a sense of self-righteousness. And the thing with Libra is that they can be self-righteous because they just view themselves always helping people. I've actually helped individual Libras with this through consults, when they help people so much and they're like, why is my life not good? And I say, well, you deserve the bad karma you get because you're just helping people before helping yourself. Feed yourself first every time. The thing with Libra is that self-righteousness can lead you to becoming very, very abundant, spiritually and materially, because if you're a self-righteous person, you hold yourself to a high degree, a high standard. You could be a person that say, I'm never going to tell a lie. I'm never going to do a bad exchange in business. I'm never going to do anything that's going to detriment anybody around me and the public in general. You have that mentality, then you are going to achieve natural abundance. And you can use the self-righteousness once it's internal, meaning you held yourself to the standard. But as soon as you start comparing yourself to others, meaning your self-righteousness says, I'm more righteous than that guy or that girl or my dad or my mom or my daughter, that's when things start colliding on you and you achieve bad karma. So self-righteousness, even though it's a bad trait that they always say, can actually be used as a good thing, because you can make yourself, you can use self-righteousness to motivate yourself to be the best possible version of yourself that's at the highest moral compass you could possibly have. And then, of course, you'll achieve a lot of abundance and karmic rewards from the universe for being that way. But when you start comparing yourself to other people is when that turns into a bad thing. And, of course, it just turns into devastation and no success. Next, we have Scorpio. Scorpio is a joke. It's like Gemini, where it's like everybody just knows Scorpio to be a dark sign anyways. No offense to Scorpios. Again, a couple of my best friends are Scorpios, so it's all love for sure. But Scorpio individuals, very dark sign. It looks like a fire sign, even though it's water, represented by Pluto or Mars, whatever you want to say. And it's something that Scorpio individuals are very, very emotionally competent, I'd say. They could be emotionally manipulative. They can also be very fierce. If you attack a scorpion, they'll sting you, poison. So I would say Scorpio individuals are very similar with Cancer in a sense, except they're a fixed sign, so they're very stubborn. In a sense of overall manipulation. They're like a Gemini. They can be intellectually manipulative and emotionally manipulative. You can use that for a whole host of careers, whether it be like forensic investigations, private investigators, losing it in a judicial way, law enforcement, being the best interrogators, what have you. You guys can use your skill set to really get ahead in life by being able to read other people, gauge other people, understand what makes them tick, and then using it against them if you're in the right setting to do so, where it's appropriate because it's part of your job. But when you start going and manipulating people, like a lot of guys that are Scorpio will have multiple girlfriends. They'll girls that are Scorpio will just use guys and use their sort of sexual attraction to just drain their wallet, what have you. That's when you'll get bad karma, and then you'll see that even though you're supposed to be one of the most successful signs, you end up with nothing and scarcity, because you can't use the God-given talent you have, even though it's a dark talent, for bad things. You guys have that whole poker face, chess-like mind. You got to use that chess-like mind to make the right moves, and use that strategic mind, that manipulative, that Machiavellian natural mindset you have. You got to put it into a career of sorts that'll make you a lot of money. When you don't do that is when you just fail in life. Again, Scorpios are some of the best salespeople, similar to Gemini and Cancer as well. Marketers. And they can also, I say because of their detail orientation, they're similar to Virgo too. They can do very well with like overall like engineering, software, hardware engineering, mechanics. And then they can also do very well with when working for like law enforcement, like interrogators, detectives, things of this nature as well. Next, we have Sagittarius. Sagittarius is an interesting one because I always view Sagittarius as such great people. They're very, very positive people. It's a mutable fire sign, so they have that passion. The flare goes on and off. Sometimes it can be a bit inconsistent, but Overall, they're very good people and some of the best teachers and philosophers that our civilization has ever seen. Sagittarius, the dark side with it is that your genius can sometimes make you self-doubt. So Sagittarius is one of the smartest signs across the zodiac space. You guys can sometimes be so intellectual that your intellectualism actually reverses and destroys you because you have that over-analysis leads to paralysis and you guys don't end up doing anything. So the dark side is that your own mind is the dark side. Meaning like you guys can overthink yourselves into an oblivion. What you have to do is actually use your mind to, of course, figure out a career, whether it be through teaching other people a certain skill set you have, jumping on social media, or something artistic. But you want to use that sort of fast-paced mind that you have and making sure it doesn't outpace you and putting it into something that can expand. You have Jupiter on your side. Use it to expand and grow a business of sorts. Use it to expand and grow other people's minds, or use it to do a performance-based activity where you're on stage. And of course, you keep getting a larger and larger fan base. Jupiter always expands. When you're restricted by overthinking, it implodes and destroys you. It's as simple as that, guys. Capricorn's the next one. Capricorn is a very important sign. Cardinal energy again. Earth energy. Very, very strong. Represented by Saturn, the militant sign. Capricorn people are one of the most materially driven people by far. That's a good thing. What I'd say with Capricorn is they're too obsessed with status, meaning like they can be overly obsessed with who somebody is, what they do in comparison to who they are as a person when you get into that dark side. So you guys are very aware of social and business level hierarchies. What you should do is always aim to be the alpha in your group, whether you're a man or a woman, and then the top of whatever food chain you're in the corporate structure. Whether you're an entrepreneur, at least you're at the top already because you just have to beat your competition. Or if you're in a corporate structure like a business, let's say you work for maybe IKEA headquarters, head office, or Walmart head office, and you're trying to become the CEO, what have you. Cool, get to the top, but don't let your obsession with status make you feel like less of yourself. You want to use your obsession with status to become the highest. You have to think of it like, remember, you guys are the god over the 10th house, the midheaven, the status house, right? So you got to use that energy and realize that what exalts their Mars. You got to be forceful and have a lot of conviction within what you want to do and propel yourself to the top of whatever echelon or whatever sort of pond you're in. You want to become the shark in there. But you have to do that in a way in which you know where the hierarchy is. So my advice to you guys is to use your dark side. Figure out where's the hierarchy where I stand. Even if you're working at like a McDonald's, you just want to become the manager, you want to become district manager, whatever. Look at where the hierarchy is. Look where the very top is of whatever career you're in and aim right there. And then higher. That's what you guys want to do. Aim for that crown because you guys are the god over the status house. You have to aim for that. And if you don't aim for it, then you're going to obviously never have any true satisfaction, life, or contentment. And it's overall just going to lead to just overall just depression for you. You can't deny that side of yourself that wants to be viewed as a king or a queen. You have to actually put that into perspective and then utilize it as fuel. The next one is Aquarius. Aquarius is probably amongst Gemini, Scorpio, Sagittarius, the genius sign. I'd say Aquarius is probably the smartest sign of all of them. The 11th sign, the networking house. It's Aquarius, funny enough, is usually considered like the black sheep, the outsider, the eccentric individual that people don't like. Represented by Uranus or Saturn in the original astrology. I much prefer to say Saturn because it's more true. Aquarius is very, very, how do I put this? They're very unorthodox. So the dark side to you guys is you guys like to do things unconventional. You guys are very oppositional. What you have to figure out is who do you want to be in opposition with. The thing with Aquarius is they'll move out their house early. They'll say F off to everybody. They'll do their own thing like the Steve Jobs types. That's good to have that trait, but you have to know where your opposition is. I think Aquarius works best where they're at war with something. They have to go up against the revolutionaries. The way you use that dark side is you have to figure out, what am I exactly going against? Is it the government? Is it the educational system? Is it a specific business that's selling people bad food? What is it? Because you guys always have a very strong conviction that I love to listen to. So you have to just figure out what is exactly you're going to go to war for, and then how can you monetize that? It's as simple as that. Figure out what you're in opposition of, and then figure out how you can go against it for your career. Because that's going to give you the driving force to get up early every single day, and you'll never be fatigued. Next and last but not least, Pisces. My Piscean individuals, you guys are like the master number in the zodiac space. You guys are the psychic individuals, the most adaptive, like the 9 as well. Very, very cool sign. Very considered sensitive. Everybody thinks Pisces is soft. They're not really, especially the March Pisces you guys don't play. I know you guys have a lot of that Aries energy in you, so you guys are not people to be trampled with whatsoever. I would never say that. Pisces, though, you guys do definitely have a dark side as well. And your dark side is, in a sense, something that's good that you guys have, and it's your ability to adapt. So the thing is that a Pisces individual, if you put a Pisces in the hood, they'll become a gangster. You put a Pisces on Wall Street, become a stockbroker. You put a Pisces near Washington, they'll get into politics, say, I'll beat Biden, I'll beat Trump, I'll beat whoever. So you got to understand as a Pisces, where are you and how do you adapt and how do you get to the top of the food chain in that way? When you're a Pisces, your adaptiveness sometimes can be a negative thing because you'll adapt to even negative conventional systems like a gangster system or an abusive household, or a place where you're amongst a bunch of addictive individuals who are just addicted to drugs or alcohol or sex or what have you. So when you run into situations like that, you don't want to adapt in a sense where you're just, because when I say adapt, I mean become your environment. So I should word that very differently. The dark side, you guys are like water. You just become the environment. You want to make sure that you adapt to your environment here, but you also know how to be different than your environment where necessary. Right? So you have to obviously adapt to survive and be methodical about it. But if you're too much in tune with your environment, it controls you. And of course, it just drags you and keeps you stagnant. So adapt to it and then level up. That's what I'd say. But the dark side to that, I'd say, is that, of course, that's the bad part of it. The good side is that you can move anywhere in the world and adapt. You can get across, be across the table from any sort of person, whether it be a different race, a different belief system, different culture, different country, different backgrounds. You can adapt to any single person you want. You guys are very, very much able to read people very well, read situations, use your intuition, and then maneuver. So you want to use that adaptiveness to your advantage. I wouldn't even say it's a dark trait, but it's a trait that, if, like I said, if used uncontrollably, would just make you adapt to even negative circumstances, negative environments, and be stagnant there. But if you use it to actually maneuver around like a chameleon, then you'll have a great degree of success in business and in your social life. So that does conclude my video, guys. I went through the 12 signs. If you have any questions for me, just leave it for me in the comment section. Aside from that, like, subscribe, holla at me. That's it for today, guys. Peace.